Hello and welcome to this Cartoon Smart video tutorial. I'm Brian Zakowski and we are exploring Adobe Illustrator CS5, and this video is going to be about rotate and reflect. And if you don't have your tool panel open, which is this thing right here, I'm going to go up to Window and just make sure that's turned on right there. Okay, so your rotate and reflect tools are going to be found right down here. By default, you might see the rotate tool in the tool panel like that. So just click and hold on that, and let's just drag that out and put that right on the document. The main intent of this video is to talk about the rotate and reflect tools, and we're going to use these tools in finishing up this character that I've already started. So let's get started. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom into my character. He's just some sort of weird monster that I just kind of made up on the fly just before starting this video. And I want to put some eyes right in this guy. And I think what I'm going to do is use my blob brush tool, which is right down here in the tool panel. And I'm going to press D on the keyboard to make sure that I have the default black stroke. It's actually going to draw as a fill, but when you first start using the blob brush tool, it's going to pick up the color from the stroke for some reason. And then once you actually start using it, it's going to switch over and use the fill color, if that makes any sense. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just kind of start drawing out, and mind you, I'm using a drawing tablet, a Wacom tablet, and I'm just going to go right there. With the blob brush tool, when you're drawing something and you come back on itself, what it does is it closes that path. So this is essentially a compound path. It's kind of a shape with a shape subtracted in the middle, and that's what a compound path usually is. Let's kind of zoom in right here. And I'm also going to take out another tool here. I'm going to take out my pencil. It's got the reshape tool, the smooth tool, and the eraser tool. I don't use this too much, but I do use the smooth tool. And the reshape tool is actually just the pencil tool itself, because I can take the pencil and just kind of go back over that line. And sometimes it works sort of like the smooth tool. They work a little bit differently, but sometimes you can accomplish the same thing with both. I don't really switch over to the smooth tool unless I'm not getting the result I'm looking for with the pencil tool. And we might come across that, we'll see. Now that I've created this eye, basically it's just the outline of the eye, I'm going to use some keyboard shortcuts here. I'm not going to go up to the menu too much because we're really concerned with these tools here, but we'll get to that soon. Maybe I'll zoom in this, and I'm going to take that eye shape. I'm going to Command or Control C on the keyboard, and I'm going to Command or Control F, which just pasted the same thing right in front, although you can't notice it at the moment. If I go to nudge that, you can see that that's really what happened. So I'm going to kind of just nudge that back to right about there. It's right on top. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change that color over to white, like so. Then I'm going to find one of the inside anchor points and just click on that, and with one of them selected, if I hit delete on the keyboard once, it's going to delete that anchor point, and if I hit delete again, it's going to delete that entire inside path, and it's going to totally destroy the compound path. So what it's going to do is just kind of fill that right in with white. So delete a second time, and it creates a white shape without that hole in the middle. So click on that one more time with my regular selection tool. I'm going to go Command or Control X on the keyboard and kind of delete that away. Then I'm going to select the black outline that I previously made, and I'm going to go Command or Control B on the keyboard and just place that right behind the eye shape the outline of the eye. Now I'm going to hold on Shift, and I'm going to select the outside of the eye as well, and I'm just going to go to Command G or Control G on the keyboard and group that, and then I'm going to just go Shift Command A or Control A and just deselect that, and now when I drag that, it should be one solid group. Okay, so now we'll leave that right there, and I'm going to draw the inside of the eye. Take my blob brush tool once again. I'm going to make the size kind of big. Push D. Oops. Want to make sure everything else is deselected, and then press D to get default, which you can see it's black outline in the tool panel here. And I'm just going to press once, maybe not hard enough, undo, Control or Command Z. I'm sorry, Control Z or Command Z. And I'm just press a little bit harder this time. And you can make a perfect circle when using the blob brush if you just press and click once. I'm using a Wacom tablet. If you're using a mouse, let me switch over to the mouse real quick. Yeah, if you just click once, it creates a perfect circle. Yeah, select that pupil. I'm going to go Command C on the keyboard or Control C if you're using Windows. And then I'm going to Command F or Control F to place that object right in front. I'm going to press S on the keyboard and then return. When you do that, it brings up your scale panel. And in the scale, I'm going to make 35%, and that's usually what I use when I'm making the white of an eye. The white of the pupil, actually, the shine in the pupil. I'll return that, and you can see it's a lot smaller now. Now with that still selected, I'm going to just go over to here and just select white, and it's still selected once I do that, and I'm just going to nudge that with my arrow keys to the place where I want it to be. Hold on Shift and select the other part as well, the black part, and then I'm going to Command or Control G to group that, and now we have this as well as this right here. So with that selected, I'm going to shift the other part of the eye that we already made and go Command G or Control G. So now that's a totally grouped eye. Now let's back up a little bit. Maybe that eye is just a little bit too big for that character, so what I'm going to do is, with the whole thing selected, press S on the keyboard, hit return, and I'm going to, preview is already on, so it already scaled it. But that's not what I want, so I'm just going to maybe make it like what I've done. With the cursor in that field, you can just press up or down, and it's going to scale that accordingly. And I think I kind of like that. So we'll go with 87%. Click OK. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Reflect tool, and with this object selected, I'm going to press on the Reflect tool, and you notice that you have a, actually you might not be able to see that. What it does is it places a little cursor there, and I had to do that because sometimes they don't show up in the video, and if I zoom in a little bit, you can see them. So I'm going to zoom back out and just know that that's there. And what I'm going to do is hold down the Option, place my cursor, actually I'm going to zoom right in, right there, maybe a little bit more maybe, and hold down Option, and I'm going to press right in the center of the head. And what that did is it brought up the Reflect dialog box, and I'll zoom back out now. And what I want to do is I want to flip it vertically instead of horizontally, and it's going to flip it exactly on the opposite side of where I placed the little cursor. If you can't see it, it's right in there. I'll click on vertical, and I'm going to just move this over a bit, and it's going to put the shape right over the opposite of the little cursor. Previous selected, what I'm going to do is I want to just copy that, so I'm going to just press copy, and now it just made a copy and reflected that over on the other side. Now once you do that, you can adjust accordingly if you like. So that is one instance of us doing the Reflect. Now zoom in a little bit. I'm going to go back to the Blob Brush tool, which is Shift B on the keyboard, and you might not be able to see that brush size. I hope you can. I'm going to go down just a little bit, and I'm going to press just a little bit. Now I have a Wacom tablet, so if you're using a mouse, you might not be able to get the same result I'm getting. I'm just going to press a little bit, a little harder, and then taper back off. Actually, I can do it a little bit faster. I do undo a lot until I get it right. Sometimes it's quicker than just trying to manipulate something you've already done. So maybe, sometimes not, it depends. Okay, I'm going to hold down Command to go back to my regular selection tool. I'm still holding. If I let go, it's going to go back to the Blob Brush tool. So hold down Command, click on that object, and then press I on the keyboard to get my eyedropper, and just find something black and click on that, and it's going to turn that black. Now that that's black, I can just go back to my Blob Brush tool, which is Shift B, and just make a couple more since that color is already selected. And that's really not what I really wanted, but Command B, and I'm going to press D to get to the default color, so that my Blob Brush tool is going to be that black color I want. Now I'm going to make a nostril right here, and then maybe this one opposite. I could have reflected that, but It's quicker sometimes just to draw freehand. Sometimes duplicating stuff and doing things that are intended to make your job easier sometimes make your job harder and make things take longer. With those two nostrils selected, I'm going to go Command or Control G on the keyboard and group those. And with these two eyes and the nostril and maybe these shapes right here that I created, kind of the baggy things under the eyes. Now all these are selected. I held down Shift and selected each one of those. And now once again I'm going to go Command G or Control G on the keyboard and group those up. So now that when we move that, it stays all together. Now once again I'm going to go in and with my blob brush tool once again, Shift B, I'm going to maybe take the brush size up a little bit. So I'm going to start off really thin, pressing just a little bit, and now I'm going to press a little harder and make that thicker at the end. Undo it because that's not exactly what I wanted. You're going to see me undo a lot. So thicker here, that's actually it's perfect. Sometimes they turn out perfect, sometimes not. Alright, let's use the reflect tool once again. Now mind you might not see the cursor, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this and I'm going to click on the reflect tool, and what it does is it gives you a little cursor like so, and I'm going to position that cursor right, oops, that doesn't always work good when I do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, what was happening was my pen tool, not my pen tool, but my stylus for my Wacom tablet was laying on top of the drawing tablet, and then I tried to use the mouse and they were fighting with each other, so that didn't really work too well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Option. What I'm going to do is once I have my Option pressed, I'm going to actually click right there in the center between where the two eyebrows should be, right in the center of the head, and we'll do that. So Option, click, and once again it gave me the reflect option box. So we're already set on vertical from the last time and the preview is on, so I just want to press copy now. So I just copied one of the eyebrows over exactly and reflected it. Okay, I'm going to select that, select the other one, select the eye group and just do Command G or Control G once again just to group those together. Kind of keep things tidy. That way later on if you need to edit something, it's a lot easier when you have things grouped. You know, this might be an opportunity to actually look at the rotate tool a little bit. I maybe not want those exactly like that, so I'm going to select that whole group and hold down Shift, Command, or Control G on the keyboard. Ungroup that, so these are now ungrouped. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the Rotate tool now, which is right up here, and then the cursor, it's a little crosshair thing, and it's actually located right there. You might not be able to see it because of the problem I'm having with the video. So it's right there. It's a little circular crosshair. Actually, I can zoom in a bit. You can see that right there. Now with that rotate tool selected, I can just kind of grab anywhere. And once I press down and just kind of move my cursor or move my mouse or stylus, because I'm using a tablet, just going to rotate that way. So I'm letting go of the space bar so you don't see the hand anymore, and you're probably not seeing that cursor, but I'm just kind of, now you can actually see the cursor. I forgot I was going to do that, so now I'm just going to rotate that like so. I'm going to hold down my Command key to get to my regular selection tool, click on the other eyebrow, let go, and now I'm back on the rotate tool, and I'm going to place that cursor right about there, or maybe just take that right up there. Press Command on the keyboard and just click away. So now we've reflected the eyes and we've reflected and rotated one of the eyebrows. So now I want to fill in the rest of this horn and I want to reflect it onto the other side, make a copy over here. So let's zoom into the horn here. And what I want to do is I want to fill that with a white color. So what I'm going to do, with that selected, I'm going to go Command C or Control C and copy that, and with Command or Control pressed, depending whether you're on Windows or not, I'm going to press Command F, and what it does is just paste a copy of that right in front of the other object. And you can't see it because they're exactly on top of each other, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that go up to my color here. I can do it from here, but being that my control panel is always handy, I'm just going to use that, press down, and then go over to my white, and you can see that horn shape turned white, and it's just white on top of the black one that was originally there. I know I'm enunciating strangely. I'm going to take the pencil tool, which is N on your keyboard, and I'm going to take my pencil tool, I'm going to press right there, and I'm just going to drag right over to this point. And what it should do, if it doesn't mess up on me, is actually close this path. Let's try it one more time. Not doing it. But now the white shape is on top of the black shape. So with it selected still, I'm going to just hold down Command or Control on the keyboard, and I'm going to press the left bracket next to the P on the keyboard, and what that's going to do is just kind of take it back one level, so it's going to place it right behind, in this case, the shape that was under it. It just kind of brought it right behind. And you'll also find that in your Arrange, Object Arrange, and what I did was just I went to Send Backward. So on the Mac it's Command left bracket, and on Windows it should be Control left bracket. Now I have a horn that's filled, and I'm just going to marquee both of those and select them, and do Command G or Control G, and then just group that, which is Command or Control G. Alright, now with that filled, I want to maybe just kind of bring it in to the head. It's behind the head. If it wasn't, I could go to Object, Arrange, and just go Send to Back or Send Backward enough times just to make it sure it's all the way behind. But Send Backward usually works. So we're going to group the whole thing afterwards anyway. Now, with my horn selected, I'm going to go back to the Reflect tool, and what I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to place my little crosshairs right in the center of the head while holding down the Alt or Option key, and it's going to give me the dialog box again. So press on the Reflect tool, hold down Option, and press right between the eyes, and it flipped it onto the other side of the head vertically. All I want to do now is press Copy, and now I have a copy on the other side. With all that done, let's kind of group that, just so we don't screw anything up that we already have. So with all that selected, and I actually have some other things down in here, that some detail hair that I was putting on the character. I want that all to be grouped together. So what I'm going to do is just deselect all that. Oops, undo. I'm going to take my lasso tool, which is Q on the keyboard, so I'm going to press Q, and I'm just going to drag. You might not be able to see that lasso tool, but I'm dragging all the way around. You're probably seeing the line that it's making, but not the tool itself. Now the whole thing is all selected. Everything that was inside of that shape is now selected. I'm going to go Command or Control G and group that up. So now we have it all nice and tidy together. Now let's take the arm, and I want the arm to be up front, so I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, bring to front, and make sure that arm is just right on top. And that arm, I think, looks good right about there for this guy. Click on the arm, press on the Reflect tool, and then you probably can't see it. You can see the hand, I'm sure, but what I'm going to do is press my crosshairs right about there in the center, and I'm going to hold down the Alt or Option key at the same time, and I get what I just got up here with the horns. It's going to reflect it vertically, and I just want a copy of it, so I'm going to press Copy. Now there's one on each side, and that actually placed it quite accurately. I was actually pleased with that. So now let's take that group and take each arm, and let's go to Object, and let's go to Group. I'm going to change it up once in a while. Sometimes I'll go to the menu, sometimes I'll use the keyboard shortcut. So now that guy's pretty much all grouped except for his legs. And now his leg we're going to have to rotate a little bit, so let's just kind of bring that leg sort of where the base would be. He could be jumping up and down, I guess. But what I'm going to do for this is just kind of place it right about there. I'm going to press on the Reflect tool, Rotate tool, sorry, which is R on your keyboard. So let's not press the tool. Let's actually just press R. And now I'm going to take that little crosshair thing, and I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to press it right about there. I'm actually going to hold down the Alt option. I could just press there. We'll do it both ways. I'm just going to press, and now the crosshairs are actually where I put them. I'll zoom in a little bit. You can see that. And now I'm just going to use my cursor over here and just kind of drag, and the leg is going to pivot right on that crosshair or cursor, whatever you want to call it, and make it so the foot looks about level and go about right there, right? And then I'm going to hold down my Command or Control key and just press away with my regular selection tool, and he's almost done. The only thing we need to do is reflect that foot back onto the other side. In this case, we're making the character, totally symmetrical, but we could just kind of maybe reflect it and then kind of rotate it so it looks like he's holding one foot up. But I told you we were going to do that both ways, so I'm going to undo that. And I'm just going to hold down the Alt option and press my cursor at that same point. And what I do is I get the Rotate dialog box that comes up. Preview should be selected. If it's not, press on Preview. And I'm not going to copy it because I don't want two legs on that side. But what I do want to do, just with that selected in there, I'm just going to press on the arrow key. Yep, going the wrong way. I'm going to press up, and it's going to give me that angle until I'm happy with it. And if I hold on Shift, it's going to go a factor of 10 faster than that. Okay, actually I went a whole 360, so it stopped. That's what happened. I thought it froze up for a second, but it didn't. Alright, we're happy with that. We'll click OK. Now with that leg selected, once again, we're going to go back to the Reflect tool, and I'm going to press on it, and I'm going to press that little crosshair cursor right in the center, right about there, holding the Alt or Option key down. When I do that, it's going to bring up the Reflect box, as we're probably getting familiar with now, and just click on Copy. So now we have two. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and now this guy's finished, unless you want to embellish him a little bit more, I guess. So now we'll take that guy and just marquee the whole thing and just Command G to group or Control G to group it. And now he is done. Alright, let's go back to normal view. I'm pulling down my view menu. I'm actually going down to the bottom where I have a preset to go back to this view here. Okay, so the only thing I didn't really show you in here was, let me take a look at both of these. Okay, let's see. I can only have one of those open at a time. Okay, see where it says Objects in Patterns and Options? With either of these tools, you have the ability to manipulate just the object, or if you have patterns inside, to whether or not to actually affect those. So let's take a look. Let's take out just a regular rectangle, and I'm going to fill that with some sort of pattern. I'm going to go to my Fill tool, and I'm just going to select one of the default patterns that's in there, which is this leaves graphic. And alright, let's give it a stroke, a black stroke. Alright, let's double click on the Rotate tool here. And let's uncheck Preview for the moment. See how Patterns is selected? If I were to do the rotation with Pattern selected, that pattern inside is going to move with the object. And if I uncheck the patterns and rotate that, just the shape is going to rotate, but not the pattern. Click OK for that. And same thing with the Reflect tool. We can either reflect the object with the patterns or without. Right here it's without. Let's just do... Okay, that's a way to see it. Toggle the preview button. See, the pattern stays pretty much exactly the same. Look at that leaf right there as I toggle that. You can see how it's staying right in the same place. Now check the pattern, and then the whole pattern moves with it. Okay, so I think that does it for both of these tools. For Cartoon Smart, I'm Brian Zakowski. Thank you for watching.